Hi, and welcome back to Dragonfly Paranormal on YouTube. This is part 2 of a mini-series of getting beginners ready to go on location to do their first or nearly first hunt. Right now, this is focusing on the note sections, what should be in their notes before they go, and what should be written down as they do the actual investigation portion. I would like to add a portion that I missed in my first video to this series, and that is if the landowner or the person of authority that has given you permission to hunt at a specific location has stated that they want any findings kept confidential, which means that you cannot upload it to YouTube, you cannot upload it to Facebook, you can't publish that anywhere. You need to make sure that every member of your group knows this and they agree to it in writing, that they know that this boundary has been set and that they respect this boundary. If anyone cannot respect this boundary, then they need to not take part in this particular investigation. So you pulled up in your cars and you're at this phenomenal haunted location. The first thing you're going to want to do is to make sure that one of the things that you've brought with you, which is very inexpensive nowadays, and you can sometimes even find them used at yard sales and what have you, but you can purchase them brand new for less than $20, and that is a digital ambient air thermometer. These are very useful for registering temperature changes quickly. So the first thing you're going to want to do is the person responsible for your note taking, make sure that they record when you get out of the car and you give your equipment. What I have done is I've taken at the 99-cent store, I bought a clipboard that I have taken and put my ambient thermometer on with Velcro, so that I know that holding it or what have you is not going to affect the temperature readings that it may collect. So I use Velcro and I stick that to a clipboard. That just sits there, and that way body temperature is not going to affect it in any way. So once, if you've had heat running in your car or the AC, you're going to want to make sure that the thermometer and what it's attached to is at its own, has come to a stable temperature to read the ambient air temperature. You're going to want to take a reading. You're also going to want to make sure that you record what is the weather doing now, and is the weather changing? Is it windy? Is it raining? Does it look like a storm is blowing in? Because is it humid? Things of that nature will affect sound and how it carries, and it will muffle it. It can amplify it. If it's too windy and you're at an outside location, you're going to have a horrible time reviewing any audible noises that you get via your video recordings or your audio recordings. And you may have trouble just with plain audible sounds if it's too windy outside. Then when you are able to enter the actual building before you start the actual investigation, you are going to want to do a walkthrough, check out all the rooms, look for noted damage, and record it, and note the time that you entered it. Your secretary is also going to want to note the temperature in each area and room, just to get a baseline reading. But your secretary is also going to want to write down, as well as what you have on audio and video, the damage, what room it was in, how extensive it was, because face it, video sometimes can fail, especially when doing paranormal investigation. There are blips in video that we can't explain. So you're going to want to make sure that you get this and take still photos of it as well, so that you can document what damage was pre-existing before you ever started your investigation, so that you're not held liable for damages. This is where it's helpful if you have the person of authority do this with you. You also want to remind your investigators that they need to speak in low but normal tones, and get this on audio of them stating their name, and let them rattle off where they are or do an ABC or a 10 count, so that you have an audio sampling of their voices for later in review if there should be a question. Also, let them know they cannot whisper. They shouldn't whisper, because whispers can give false readings on review. A whisper can be mistaken. A whisper can be mistaken as an EVP. So can stepping on broken glass, or crunching twigs, or crunching leaves if you're outside. You need to make sure, since you always have audio and video equipment running with you, that if someone steps on something, or should catch themselves mumbling or whispering, that they say, that was me, I'm sorry, and so that there's a record of it. And the note taker needs to know what time it was, what room it was, etc. You always announce for your audio equipment when you enter a new room. And then if you should audibly hear something, or you physically see something, or somebody should catch something in a photo or on the video screen, that you go through your protocols to rule it out. Was there a cause? Cause and effect. You also want to make sure that if you should start to notice sensations or tastes or smells, even by just one person in your team, that all gets documented. That way, they can possibly be tied into, did you smell lavender, and a resident of this home or hospital or what have you, was she, was that her favorite flower? Was that her favorite perfume? Those are all things that you want to have documented. Same with if someone gets an impression, a feeling of dread or feeling of happiness or sorrow, make sure that all gets audibly said and written down along with the time, so that you can keep chronological log of the events as they happen. Make sure to know if it's on or near a specific date in the history of this location, or with a specific person that you might be trying to reach. So you don't always have to be there on the specific date that something happened. A lot of times, there are events, catastrophic or happy or what have you, that leads up to a specific day, and then you have all the emotions after this event. One thing you need to make sure that your note taker can see what they're writing if you are investigating it after dark. So here's a few tips. You can use a pen light, but that still leaves a fairly good sized beam. And you don't want that, because that's going to strip away from any natural night vision that the rest of the investigators have. Here's a suggestion. You can take a pen light or a regular flashlight and do if you live in an area where you can hunt night crawlers in the summertime, A lot of times what they used to do is take a red bandana and a rubber band and put that over the lens so that it mutes that light. I mean, a great deal, so that, I mean, you can see. It may not be as bright as a flashlight without it, but it still mutes it. Another thing you can do is take just a small piece of cardboard, like from a cereal box, and you experiment and poke pinholes through it, and to see just how much light do you need. And then once you get the amount that you are comfortable with, then you go ahead and you scotch tape that, because the tape is clear. You scotch tape that piece of cardboard over the lens to help mute the light, but it gives you, the note taker, the light to use this. Another tip is, if that, you don't really think that would work, and if you you go to the Dollar Tree or everything for 99 cents or less store, you can buy packages of those little glow stick things. You can take one of those necklaces or the bracelets, or they've got the little pendulum charms that you can put a lanyard around your neck. They have all sorts of glow things now. Anyway, you can take those and take some duct tape or electrical tape or cardboard paper, and just all but just a strip of where the light can come through. Even aluminum foil would work. Just a strip that they can direct over their clipboard to be able to see. That also helps because it has been noted that during paranormal investigations, spirits can and do sap the energy out of flashlights, or anything with battery power. So if you use that, there is no energy source for them to sap, and that glowing will last for hours. Another low budget ghost hunting tool is just a plain Jane compass. This works in lieu of an expensive EMF detector. As I have stated, I use my ambient thermometer Velcroed to a clipboard. I also have my husband's military compass Velcroed to the same clipboard, so that those two pieces of equipment can be set down and not moved to notice any fluctuations. But it can also be moved around to see, is there fluctuations near a piece of electrical equipment, things of that nature. So if you should notice a sudden temperature drop at the same time of this clipboard not being held onto, or the person who may be holding it not moving, and you see the compass needle bouncing, be sure to note the time so that you know later on to specifically listen to that area on your audio and the video audio for possible EVPs. This is just low cost. You don't need all the high-tech stuff if you think outside of the box for the equivalent of. So with this, I'm going to close out. I want to thank you for 2 more minutes of your valuable time with me. Please feel free to click subscribe down below. Leave any questions or comments. And please join me over on Facebook at Dragonfly Paranormal, and join any discussions or start a discussion. I welcome the opportunity for you to do that. Please remember to hunt safe, and please join me for the next video where we talk about what should be in your notes after you leave the investigation site. Thank you so much, and have a great day.